Just outside Jerusalem sits the village of Bethany, home to a family about to become part of history.
This was the home of two sisters, Martha and Mary, and their brother, a man named Lazarus.
Their home was modest, their bond unshakable, three siblings held together by faith and by love. Martha carried the quiet weight of the household, steady, watchful, devoted to those she loved.
Peace be with you.
As night settled over Bethany, none of them could have known their world was about to change.
Even within the rhythm of an ordinary day, something was quietly beginning to shift.
It is nothing, Mary. Only tired.
A small cough, a passing moment. No one yet understood what it meant.
Peace be upon you.
It is good that you came. Tell me what is on your heart.
What began as simple weariness would, in the days ahead, deepen into something far more serious. Inside their home, the sisters began the quiet, careful work of tending to the brother they loved.
Mary said little, but her eyes carried the weight of a fear that was only growing. We must send word to Jesus. There was only one person they believed could help, the one their brother called friend.
Please, a moment for tea.
Thank you, my friend, but I must go.
While the message traveled onward, in Bethany the sisters could only wait and watch over the brother they feared they might lose. That night, in a quiet home in Bethany, a family held on to hope, not yet knowing that their friend was already on his way.
Across the Jordan, in the region called Perea, Jesus and his disciples had withdrawn for a season of teaching and rest.
The Father's work is never far from us, even here.
It was an ordinary morning of teaching, much like any other in their time beside the river.
Lord, the one you love is sick, Howard.
The message was simple, but its weight was felt by everyone gathered around that fire. This sickness will not end in death, but is for the glory of God.
His answer surprised them all, for it did not sound like the urgency they expected. If he is this ill, should we not go at once?
Even those closest to him did not yet understand what he intended to do.
Yet he did not leave at once. He remained 2 more days in that place.
2 days passed. The disciples waited, uncertain why their teacher delayed.
In his stillness, he carried a knowledge the others did not yet have. Look how the light catches the drops. Every moment holds beauty.
It is beautiful.
Our friend Lazarus sleeps, but I go to wake him.
His words were gentle, but they carried a meaning his disciples could not yet grasp.
If he sleeps, he will recover.
They misunderstood him, as people so often do when truth is spoken in a gentle way.
The council has agreed to the terms you proposed. The temple reconstruction can begin.
That is welcome news. May the ancestors bless this endeavor.
Let us go also, that we may die with him.
Even in their fear, the disciples chose to follow him, wherever the road might lead.
And so, under the cover of night, the journey toward Bethany finally began.
Ahead of them lay a long road, and a sorrow they did not yet know how to carry.
I know that he will rise again in the resurrection on the last day.
Martha's faith was real, but it was a distant hope.
Yes, Lord, I believe you are the Messiah, the Son of God.
In the midst of her grief, Martha spoke one of the clearest declarations of faith in the entire account.
The teacher is here and is asking for you.
Mary rose quickly when she heard the news, her grief now mixed.
The mourners followed her, believing she sought the quiet of the tomb to grieve alone.
Mary went out with great haste, and the mourners, not understanding, followed close behind her.
Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died.
She spoke the same words her sister had spoken. Seeing her weep, and the mourners weeping with her, he was deeply moved in spirit and troubled.
See how he loved him.
Even those who did not yet understand who he was could see the depth of his love for his friend.
Peace be.
Could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying?
Some in the crowd wondered aloud.
He lifted her gently, but his attention had already turned toward what lay ahead. At last, they reached the tomb, a cave with a stone laid across its entrance. He stood before the stone for a long moment, the weight of the gathered grief pressing in around him. It was a stone meant to be final, a seal against the world of the living.
Take away the stone!
4 simple words, and the crowd fell into stunned silence.
Please.
Lord, by this time there is a bad odor, for he has been there 4 days.
Even in her faith,
Martha's practical mind could...
Did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God?
He reminded her gently of what had already passed between them on the road.
At last, several men stepped forward to do as he asked. It was no small task. The stone resisted, just as their understanding had resisted what was being asked of them, dark and silent, and the crowd waited to see what would happen next.
Before the open tomb, he lifted his eyes upward and began to pray.
Father, I thank you that you have heard me.
It was not a prayer of pleading, but one of quiet confidence and gratitude.
Every eye in that crowd was fixed on him, waiting, though none could have imagined what was about to happen.
And then, turning toward the darkness of the tomb, he called out in a loud voice.
Lazarus, come out!
3 words, spoken into the darkness of death itself.
For a moment, nothing happened. The night held its breath along with the crowd. And then, deep within the darkness, something moved.
Martha, who had spoken of resurrection as a distant promise, now saw it standing before her.
Mary's sorrow broke apart in an instant, replaced by something she had no words for.
There he stood, alive, before the very people who had mourned him only moments before.
Do not be troubled by the storms around you. Find peace within. and brother were reunited in a moment that words could barely hold.
Lazarus, too, seemed to understand the magnitude of what had just occurred.
Many who had come to mourn now found themselves believing in something far greater than they had expected to witness.
Even death obeys him, Adnaban.
Even those who had walked beside him for so long found themselves astonished anew.
He had wept for his friend, and now he watched in quiet peace as life returned to the household he loved.
Together they made their way back toward Bethany, no longer a household of mourning, but of wonder.
I believed, Lord, but I never imagined this.
Her faith had been real before that night. Now it had been given a new and unforgettable shape.
As dawn broke over Bethany, word of what had happened at the tomb had already begun to spread far beyond its hillside.
The sisters who had wept for 4 days now stood frozen between fear and impossible hope.
And the man who had died came out, his hands and feet wrapped in linen, his face wrapped in a cloth.
We must reach the harbor before the sun sets completely. The winds favor us tonight.
Mary's sorrow broke apart in an instant, replaced by something she had no words for.
Unbind him and let him go. His final instruction was simple, practical, and full of compassion. And there, beneath the linen, was the face of Lazarus, whole and alive.
Sisters and brother were reunited in a moment that words could barely hold.
Peace be with you all. Go in peace.
Many who had come to mourn now found themselves believing in something far greater than they had expected to witness.
Fresh bread. Get your fresh bread here.
Finest silks from the east.
Behind them, the tomb stood open and empty, its purpose for this man undone. As dawn broke over Bethany, word of what had happened at the tomb had already begun to spread far beyond its hillside.
By morning, all of Bethany had heard what took place at the tomb.
I saw him buried with my own eyes. I do not understand it.
For many who had witnessed the burial themselves, the disbelief was as real as the joy.
There was no trace left of the sickness that had taken him. He sat among them, simply alive.
Martha returned to her familiar role, but everything about that morning felt entirely new.
Not stay within Bethany for long. It traveled quickly toward Jerusalem.
In Jerusalem, only a short distance away, the religious leaders were already hearing troubling reports.
He raised a man from the dead in Bethany. The people are saying he is the Messiah.
The miracle that brought joy to one household brought concern to another.
Send. The chief priests and elders convene to discuss what should be done.
Do not be afraid, little one. Hope is closer than you think. From that day forward, a plan began quietly forming among them.
Meanwhile, ordinary people began making their own way toward Bethany, eager to see the man who had returned from the dead. Lazarus himself had become, almost overnight, a living testimony that drew crowds from beyond his own village. Jesus remained nearby, watching quietly as the household adjusted to its sudden, unexpected joy.
The council in Jerusalem will not be pleased to hear of this.
Even Peter, in the midst of celebration, sensed the danger that this miracle would bring.
What was done here was for the Father's glory. Whatever follows, follows in its time.
He did not shy away.
As the day wore on, the crowds began to thin, but the news they carried with them would not stay quiet for long.
Within days, the council convened again, this time with greater urgency.
If this continues, the Romans will come and take away both our temple and our nation.
Their fear was not only of one.
It is better that one man die for the people than that the whole nation perish.
In that moment, though he did not fully understand the way.
From that day, the council began plotting in earnest how they might bring his life to an end.
Any man who knows where he is staying must report it to us.
Word went out quietly, instructing the people to report his whereabouts.
He knew what his act of love and power had set into motion, and still, he did not turn away from it.
Knowing the city had grown dangerous for him, Jesus withdrew for a time to a quieter region near the wilderness.
He left Bethany for a season, but what had happened there could never be undone or forgotten.
For a time, he remained in a quiet town near the wilderness, away from the city that now sought to silence him.
Even in this remote place, his reputation had begun to arrive before him.
They say the man had been dead 4 days, and still he walked out of the tomb.
The story passed from mouth to mouth.
Quietly, the council's instructions were already being carried out. Watching, waiting, listening.
What he had given to Lazarus in life, he now carried forward, even toward the shadow gathering ahead of him.
She anointed his feet, and then, lowering herself further, wiped them with her own hair. Such an act, in that culture and setting, was unusual enough to draw every eye in the room.
Why was this perfume not sold and the money given to the poor?
Not everyone at that table understood or approved of what they were witnessing.
Leave her alone. She has done this to prepare me for my burial.
His response silenced the objection, though its deeper meaning would not be understood until later.
Mary's act, though questioned by some, had come from a place of deep and personal devotion.
The chief priests will want to know that the dead man is here as well.
Even Lazarus himself had now become a target of concern for those plotting against Jesus.
Peace be with you, my friends. The kingdom of heaven is near.
Then Lazarus too must be dealt with, for because of him many are turning away and believing.
In Bethany, the evening closed in quiet warmth, far from the cold calculations being made on their behalf in the city.
He simply lived, grateful and unburdened, in the gift of days he had not expected to have. What had begun as a quiet act of love for one Coles had set in motion events far. In time, life in Bethany found its rhythm again, though nothing about that household would ever feel entirely ordinary. He returned to his work, to his home, to the simple life he had once nearly lost. Martha returned fully to her steady role at the heart of the household, her faith now woven permanently into her daily life. Mary carried what she had witnessed quietly within her, a devotion that would only grow deeper with time.
Long after that night at the tomb, travelers passing through still spoke of what had happened there.
The tomb remained on that hillside, empty and open, a quiet witness to what had taken place within it.
Same family, but now carrying a story that would outlive every one of them.
He understood, even without being told everything, that his own life had become bound up in something far larger than himself.
Even at a distance, the household in Bethany remained tied to the path he now walked toward the city.
Together, the three of them stood as living proof of what had happened on that hillside, brother and sisters, bound now by more than blood.
What had been given to him could not be repaid, only carried forward, in the way he chose to live the days that followed.
Yes. I was dead, and now I live. I can tell you only what I know to be true. And so, in his own words,
As night fell once more over Bethany, the village rested in the same quiet it always had, holding with...
This is the story of the raising of Lazarus, a quiet village, a grieving family, and a love that reached even into death itself.